So, Mike, what is coming our way? Do you think the Supreme Court knows who the leaker was?
Yes, I do. I believe the Supreme Court almost certainly has figured it out by now. I believe the Supreme Court probably figured out within a couple of days who the leaker was. And I suspect, don't know this, but I suspect what they're doing is they're wanting to wait until the end of the term, until after the Dobbs ruling has been announced, before airing to the world who it was, because that might just add to the confusion, the discussion around it. And it
but
might
you
also
think somebody will pay for that?
Yeah, I do. I think they know who it was, and I do think that that person will have consequences. If, as I suspect, it was a law clerk, I think that law clerk likely will never practice law. That's not okay to leak confidential information, not your own, to the world. And this was very, very sensitive information.
I hope somebody pays for it, because that's another problem we have in America right now. People don't trust the system. And there's really not a lot of reasons to trust it. Nobody seems to pay for crimes.
And that's the sad part about this, is that in that case, this was one system that still has been trusted.
Yes.
The Supreme Court of the United States. Look, warts and all, they issue plenty of rulings that I disagree with, that I don't like. Our federal court system is the best of its kind in the world. And we benefit from it tremendously as Americans because of it. When you leak an opinion before it's out, trying to impact the outcome of that particular dispute, you undermine the credibility of the court. That's what the left's trying to do.
So did they, do you think this changed or hardened the stance of this leak, hardened the stance of those that were for, the leaked opinion?
I hope, and I fundamentally believe that it will harden the stance of those who had already decided preliminarily to cast their votes with Justice Alito's masterfully written opinion. Beautiful. It was brilliant. Anyone on either side of this issue should read that opinion, because it is fantastic.
Yeah. So now we have, let me go back again, because I'm looking at what's coming. I'm building this to the 9 justices that they're going to want to pack the court. We have a couple of cases that are just as strong as Roe versus Wade in their area, do we not? We have one on gun rights.
We do indeed. New York State Rifle and Pistol Association versus Brune, a case in which I submitted an amicus brief, a friend of the court brief. Very significant issues related to the Second Amendment.
Which means what the argument is, New York, and I know it because I couldn't get a gun in New York, and I had 15 active threats on my life the entire time I was in New York. You have to prove that you have a need to carry a gun.
An exceptional need.
Yes.
You have to prove that you are differently situated than most citizens, and that you have this heightened need to it. What they're doing is taking a generally applicable right that the founding fathers gave us and said, okay, this obviously can't be for everyone. It can't even be for most people. And in fact, we're going to make it only available under exceptional circumstances. It's rather the opposite of a right.
Right. So we have that coming out. Anything else that's real controversial that you think they will?
There are some administrative law decisions coming up that I suspect, could end up having some bearing on the ability of the executive branch agencies, unelected, unaccountable bureaucrats, to make law.
Okay. But the gun one and abortion could ignite the streets, and then also start a push for packing the court.
Yes, that's what they do. And Glenn, that's why I wrote my book, Saving 9, which is available on pre-order now. You can buy it on Amazon now, Saving 9. I started writing this over a year ago because I predicted this very thing happening. I started thinking, I realized, my gosh, we could end up in a situation by the summer of 2022 where Roe gets overturned. And in response to that, the left will try to demonize and delegitimize the court and isolate those who have voted for it. And they're going to go back to their tried and true playbook of 1937, where they tried to pack the court. So I explain in Saving 9 how it is that this backfires on the best judicial system in the world. why it is that in 1937, the last time the Democrats tried this, it left a lasting mark, a mark that has caused all sorts of problems in our government ever since then. The threat of court packing, even though it didn't succeed there, influenced the court. It harassed and intimidated the court to the point that the court deferred blindly to FDR and changed the law.
So FDR did this, but the Democrats, generally speaking, were against it. It was the Democrats that were fighting, along with the Republicans, fighting FDR on this. You don't have that situation now.
You don't have that situation now. And in fact, the very same Democrats who have for decades decried court packing, they're ashamed that their party did this, are now changing course. They're now back on board. Look, Joe Biden, when he was in the Senate, called it a boneheaded idea. It was a boneheaded idea when FDR did it, and it would be a boneheaded idea now.
Right.
His words, not mine. Ruth Bader Ginsburg, just a couple years ago before she died, said essentially the same thing. Democrat after Democrat had said this. But now, they're ignoring all of that. Now they're saying, but we have to do it.
And that's because, in my opinion, the Democrats are not Democrats. They're more Marxist revolutionaries. Because this is, once you lose this, you're done as a nation, are you not?
Well, yeah, you're done at least as a nation that lives under the rule of law. Because in order for the rule of law to work, in order for a Republican form of government to work in a constitutional republic like ours, you do have to have a neutral, independent arbiter of what the law means when people disagree as to the law's meaning. You lose that if you pack the court, because the court then becomes a political football. It stops resembling a court and starts to resemble the intergalactic Senate in Star Wars with so many people it can't be managed.
Right. One last thing I want to talk to you about, the Durham case. I just talked to Bill Barr, and he told some fascinating behind-the-scenes stuff. That's a podcast that's out today. And I was really actually angry with him that, like, where was this? And he had really good explanations for all of it. He said that he knew that Durham would continue. But we're looking at now, it looks like it's tying right directly to Hillary Clinton. I mean, it looks bad for Sussman and the Clinton campaign. However, the jury is from Washington, D.C. There are two donors to Hillary Clinton's campaign. It's a very tainted jury. Is there anything that, if the facts are there and the jury dismisses it, it's over, right?
Yes. That is a central feature of our system.
Correct.
When a crime is prosecuted, you've got a jury, and the jury makes a decision. The jury's decision is unreviewable.
So then, if they don't pay, again, if nobody pays for this, what do we, how do we retrieve?
Yeah, that's a good question. So it's true, the jury's decision in that case is unreviewable. Those are protections we offer for the individuals accused.
And it should be, and I agree with double jeopardy shouldn't happen.
But when you get a jury that decides not to convict for whatever reason, that doesn't mean the facts go away. It doesn't mean the evidence isn't there. It doesn't mean the American people can't, won't be, and shouldn't be informed by the evidence presented to the jury. We still will have that.
The Republicans have one shot. One shot. Are we going to actually see a strong Republican Senate and House if you win? Are we going to see people actually standing up? Are we going to have more of Turtle Face? What's his name? McConnell.
Yes, we are, and we are because we have to. We are because we realize this is the last shot.
Are people making plans? Are they?
Yeah. There are plans. So my colleague, Senator Rick Scott from Florida, has come up with a legislative plan. My legislative plan for if we get the majority focuses first and foremost on passage of the REINS Act, which involves REINS Act is a very simple thing. It just says our laws that affect the American people have to be passed by the people's elected lawmakers and not unelected, unaccountable bureaucrats.
I love
It's that simple.
That changes everything.
It changes everything. It has a spillover effect on everything bad the federal government does. So I think we should focus on that and make that our pinnacle achievement and promise.
Wow, that also gets into kind of some spooky things that, powers that you don't know the government has.
Right. powers that you don't know the government has because the people have never given up that power because they've never elected anyone who gives the power to some nameless, faceless bureaucrat who, well-educated, hardworking, and well-intentioned, doesn't work for you. You can't fire him or her.
That would kind of really deeply affect the deep state, too, wouldn't it? Yeah.
Absolutely, it would. It would change everything.
That's brilliant. Okay, so elect Mike Lee, Senator.
LeeForSenate.com.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much, Mike. The name of the book is Saving 9 by Senator Mike Lee. LeeForSenate.com.